It's Christmas today, and we have a brand new toy from Santa. An iGulu beer F1 machine. Let's get to the unboxing. So, we've struck up a partnership with the team over at iGulu. As a part of that partnership, they've sent over this machine for us to try out, do a review on, make some beers on it. As another part of that partnership, we can sell this machine to you guys through them. So if you buy through us, you get, I think it's $100 off the actual cost of the machine, which is pretty cool. So you can find all of that over on theflyingwombat.com.au and go to the shop there alongside all of our merch. But the whole purpose of today's video is to open this bad boy up, see what it looks like. Oh, what was this one? Oh, we've got an amber lager kit right here. So maybe we start off with that. The whole purpose of this video is to test out this machine and see how good of a beer it can make. This is opened. I need to put this down so I can get it out of the box. There we go. Now we're cooking with gas. That's a pretty schmick little unit actually. Quite sexy. There we go. We got there. So smooth, so smooth. Well, it's opened now and we've got it all prettily laid out for you. So here we have an amber lager, a pale ale, and a Bavarian wheat beer kit. So they also have a whole bunch of different recipe packs on the website if you want to go and have a look through there, links down below. So you can kind of make the beers that are to your flavor. But the way that I would describe this machine is it's basically imagine a coffee machine that makes beer. That's basically what this machine is. So at the very start of a brew day, you basically just pour the kit into the tank that sits inside here, give it all a good mix up, and then the machine will just do its thing. 2 weeks later, you got fresh beer pouring out on tap from the same vessel that you did the brew day in, and it basically takes you a handful of minutes instead of a handful of hours, and you got fresh beer coming out of a tap. So if you are someone with limited space or you're kind of new to the world of brewing, maybe this is a pretty cool entry point so that you can jump in and start making really easy and really good beers without having to buy a whole bunch of equipment, as you know, you can see here. Yeah.
How much are they all total?
Too much. Don't ask. Some people have houses. I have equipment. All right, let me read some instructions before I go pulling things apart so that I do this for you guys properly. Now, to clean this thing before we use it. So imagining that this was actually connected from a previous batch, you want to disconnect the gas inlet, then you would disconnect the beer outlet, and then you would depressurize the keg by lifting this little pressure relief valve, which is all super simple. You then press lightly down on the actual lid of this thing, unclamp this, I guess, gasket, you'd call it. This is like tri-clamps, except it's made for this. So that would go, wait, what have I done? I'm actually just a little bit slow today. I just didn't take that off that. Yeah. Oh, good God. Okay, so that's off. Okay, now this we can open up. We've got some plastic here we want to take off, don't need that. And I've got some goodies in here apparently. What do we got in here? That's another O-ring, which I assume is no, not a replacement, that goes on here. Cool, good thing I saw that. Makes sense, otherwise how is it holding any pressure inside? Okay, O-ring's on. Now let's open up the bag and see what we've got to work with. What's this? Oh, it's instructions. Yeah, okay, well, that's about the O-ring. That's okay, I figured it out.
Not your first rodeo.
Now we've got some more tubing. Okay, these must be spare tubing parts because they look exactly the same as what's there. This looks different. I will read instructions on this before I do something silly, but I'm pretty sure this is replacement stuff. I don't read instructions. And we got a little cute wrench. Okay, I'm gonna fill this up with sanitizer to begin with. Oh, no, I was about to peel that sticker off. We need that on there. It tells us our volume. I'm just gonna use Stella San. You can use just whatever washing liquid you have on hand. If you guys don't have brewing equipment, if this is your first foray into brewing and this is the machine you got, you could just use dishwashing liquid. Just make sure you rinse it out thoroughly, because dishwashing liquid, if there's residue that remains, will kill the head of your beer. So just rinse it out properly. Stella sand is a ratio of 1.5 mils per liter. I'm gonna fill this up with 3 liters, so that's 4.5 mils. Let's measure that out. That looks about right. All right, I'm gonna fill this up. I'm also gonna sanitize this little thingamajig while we're at it, because why not? It's the spout from the tap when you pour it. Top it up in here. And then we're just gonna let this sit for a little bit while I actually read the instructions to figure out how to assemble the rest of this stuff. I might actually put the lid back on as well, so I can just tip this upside down and make sure all the surfaces are actually cleaned. Might also take off these tubes actually and sanitize them too while I'm at it. Not a bad idea. Okay, we'll be back once everything's clean.
Like a baby.
Like a little baby. Yeah, you shake the baby.
Shake the baby. Shake the baby.
That's how you put it to sleep.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so just walking through the bits and bobs of equipment we have here. This is the spear that sits down inside the keg when you're using the iGulu fermenter / keg to serve beer from. So this pushes down onto there. This will clamp it closed. Over here, we have the commercial version. So if you wanted to buy a keg of Heineken lager, for example, you can actually use a little 5-liter keg, use this spear that would replace this system here, this one in particular, and then you can serve with that and that if you want to serve commercial beers out of your little machine, which is pretty cool actually. Over here, we've got 2 options to actually dispense beer. One option would be if you just literally pour out as it's set up right now, you'd use the air compressor. So that's going to push oxygen, or push air into the keg. That increase in pressure forces the beer out of the tap. So pros and cons. Pro, super easy. It's already built for you. You don't have to do anything. The con is if you're not going to finish that beer quickly, you are going to introduce oxygen into an environment that should be oxygen free. So if you're going to finish that keg within a couple days, totally fine. But if you're planning on drinking this beer maybe over a couple of weeks, you're better off using a soda stream. So this you attach by pushing it down into the soda stream component, screw it shut, and then this is going to push CO2 into the actual fermenter the way that a commercial system would. Only problem is I can't do without this one today, because this is an Australian soda stream and this is an American female inlet. So I need to find myself a little adapter so that I can actually screw this thing on. All right, let's start brewing a beer, shall we? Okay, so the process for this is super simple. First of all, we're going to be doing the amber lager, because why not? I've already got a pale ale on tap and reasons. So the steps are super simple. All we need to do is add our water. So I believe it's 116 ounces. I got no idea what that is in metric units, but you basically just need to fill it up to the line. Odin, do you want to tell me when to stop? I actually can't see it. Oh, it's over here. There we go, 116 Oz. Oh, bang on, a little bit more. There we go, cool. Next step is to add all the hop extracts. So in this kit, we've got a bittering hop extract, and then we've got 2 different mosaic hop oils. So I'm actually kind of curious about this, because I've been wondering about using hop oils for a very long time, just myself personally anyway. So I'm curious to see how much hoppy punch they can actually pack. Now, let's rip that thing open, squeeze it down in there. Nice. I think I got everything out of that. And rinse and repeat 2 more times. Oh, it's green. I mean, I don't know why that surprises me. Hops are green. There, and last one. And I have to imagine that the bittering extract 20 means 20 IBUs. That's gotta be what that means. Okay, that's done. Next was to sprinkle in our yeast. So we just got dry lager yeast here. Snip that off the top. And yes, yeast first and then the dry extract, the DME, dry malt extract, which is interesting. I guess it's so that the yeast really gets involved with all the DME. Now this part is odd. This part says do not mix. So just pour it in, let it settle, and the whole machine will take care of everything and do its thing. I imagine that the reason for that is so that you don't infect it by putting a spoon or something in there and contaminating the batch. But the instructions say not to, so we're just gonna go ahead and listen to the instructions. Now let's try pour this in without losing any. This does feel like quite a lot of, I mean, it's not, but it feels like this is getting quite full. Part of me would be worried about this DME powder kind of sitting on the sides and up on the fermenter where the yeast won't reach, but when it hits high Krausen, which if any of you are new to brewing, high Krausen just means that when the fermentation really kicks off and you get the frothy, yeasty stuff going on, kind of like when you make bread and it like blows up, you get high Krausen coming up the sides, and I guess that will crawl and get the rest of the powder. Now from here, we just had to pop the spear back on the top, or the lid thing back on the top. By the way, I did use a little bit of food grade lube just on the O-ring around this so that it helps to protect the O-ring, get a better seal, and you're just not gonna rip it if you try to push it down dry. Just, you know, things slide on nicely if you use lube. And now this goes on top. There, no, there we go. And we're in. Now, I just need to pop this into the machine and then choose the beer that we're gonna do, which I have the little RFID thing for. So let's pop this up and in there. Nice, easy. I need to do the beer inline. So I've got to fully open up this and then feed it through the bottom down there. So I believe that feeds to about there. This will come down here. I think I should probably clamp that closed for now. And then that goes onto the beer outlet. Then the gas outlet is already in here. That just goes onto the gas outlet post. In this case, the beer itself is going to be generating that pressure, so it goes right on there. And that's pretty much it. Let's close this thing up and then we'll scan it. All right, now where is the iGulu logo? It's over here, isn't it? Okay, so now we just scan this little RFID. This thing has got inbuilt into it the coding for what beer we are fermenting in this thing, so the machine knows what it has to do. So I just scan this over the logo there. Amber lager, next. It's gonna ferment for 12 days at 12 degrees Celsius, followed by 3 days at a 2-degree cold crash, and brew. Now we're fermenting. Was that not the quickest brew day you've ever done?
4-minute brew day.
4 minutes, and we're gonna have 5 liters of beer, a gallon of beer, a bit over a gallon. That's pretty cool, actually. So now while this is fermenting, I did want to mention how we plan on using this machine. Because yes, you can absolutely do these recipe kits completely fine if you don't have the space for brewing. If you're in like a little apartment or something, it means you can actually make your own fresh beer at home, serve it on tap without having a whole bunch of equipment. We have a lot of equipment and I've got a lot of space, but the way I'm gonna use this machine is when I feel too lazy to do a full brew and I wanna test out a new recipe kit, that's fine. The other way is I can make my own wort. So if I'm making an actual big batch of beer, I might split off, say 3-4 liters of that, about a gallon of that into this little fermenter, and then maybe I decide to ferment it with a different yeast strain, or I decide to add different hops, or I decided to do an experimental batch and I only want to make a very little amount because I don't know if it's going to taste good yet. I can use this thing as like a little pilot batch brewer, so to speak, so I don't have to make a whole giant batch of beer. Anyway, we'll circle back to you in about 2 weeks when this thing is ready to drink and pour some beer. It has now been 2 weeks and the iGulu is ready, and we know that because this line right up and down the middle here has turned green, telling us that the beer is cold and it's ready to start pouring. So, without further ado, let's pour ourselves a pint. And there we have it. So, first and foremost, yes, it's cloudy, but it is cloudy because any lager that has just finished fermenting would also be cloudy. It takes a couple weeks for the sediment to really drop out and to get a crystal clear beer. But let's go in for a taste, shall we? Because the head retention is actually kind of insane. It's so fluffy. Let's go in for it. Honestly, not bad. So here's how I would explain this to the best of my abilities. Yes, you probably could buy a commercial beer that's better than this. Yes, you probably could brew a beer that is probably going to have a better chance to be better than this if you're willing to spend thousands of dollars getting a whole bunch of equipment and grains and all that kind of stuff. But if this was the first beer I ever brewed, I would be pretty bloody happy with it. It's actually kind of good. It's got heaps of estery flavors going on, which I thought would die off under the pressure fermentation, but in a good way. It's got amazing head retention. It's carbonated perfectly. And the best part is the brew day took me 2 minutes, literally. So considering this was a 2-minute brew day and I'm now pouring beer in my own home without doing any work to make it, that's a pretty big win. So I think it's a pretty cool little machine that we got going on here. You guys let us know what beer you want us to brew in this thing next. I'm thinking about doing the wheat beer in this one because I reckon based on the esters coming off this lager, the wheat beer is going to be pretty awesome. And then I'm super keen to use this machine to start doing little pilot batches that are all grain, but I only make like say 3 liters of it or a 1 gallon batch. Throw it into the iGulu and just let it do its thing. So I think what we should do next is a review of the iGulu versus a traditional home brewing setup. And we can do a little bit of a beer battle where we'll pit this against one of my own batches in a small vessel, and we'll see which one comes out on top, the pros and cons of both, and kind of give you guys our honest thoughts and reactions. But if you do want to go check out one of these today, you can see it on our website, theflyingwombat.com.au. We'll put a link down below, and if you use our promotional code, you'll get $100 off your first order and your first machine, which is pretty awesome, and it helps support us here at the channel as well. So thanks for sticking around, guys. If you do have any questions around this or anything else to do with brewing, let us know, and we'll see you in future weeks. Cheers, guys. Keep brewing.